beautiful people. So, let's talk about my night, real quick. So, okay, this is mainly, an educational sort of conversation. It's a little story time about one of many reasons why people leave bedside nursing and people just give up on nursing altogether, not just bedside nursing, but all of it. And the issues that go on in nursing that are discussed, but not in great detail. So I went in, I did a 12-hour shift. It'll be the third of 3 for me. It's been a long couple of days. And I've been ripping and running wide open. I had a bunch of new patients, and a lot of them are very high acuity, which means they require a lot of hands-on. They have a lot of stuff wrong, which is totally fine. I was down for that. That meant I knew that meant my shifts were going to go by quick. But tonight, the opposite hallway of me, which is like we split a wing. The shift was broken up with, I had an RN with me the first 4 hours, and then I had another LPN come in for the last 8 hours. Now this LPN that was coming in is an agency nurse from a different agency. She and I do not work for the same company. I've worked with her many times before. I will not lie. The interactions with her did not leave me impressed, but I just kind of deal with her when I have to. She comes in, she does a little bit of stuff, takes care of some paperwork, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, she disappears to the other side of the facility. While she is gone, one of her patients climbs out of the bed and ends up on the floor. The CNA assigned to that area, who is a very young lady, she's very sweet. She takes very good care of those residents. She treats every single one of them like they're her family members. And anytime that she is on an assignment with me, I know that I don't have to worry about anything. She's only had her license for probably about 6 months, and she is one of those people who she loves what she does. She loves the job. She loves helping people. She feels like she's making a difference. And she's one of those kinds of people that have what is called the calling to nurse, to healthcare, which is a thing that I am noticing based on the TikTok nurse aesthetic of it all that goes on these days. That calling is really lacking for the most part, but not with her. And because of that, I am incredibly supportive of her, and I have always enjoyed working with her because I take what I do very seriously. This young lady is the one that found this gentleman on the floor, and she come to me and said, "Hey, look, I found this patient on the floor." So I call the other side of the building and I tell this nurse, I said, "Hey, look, one of your patients has fallen on the floor. You need to come over and assess him." So a minute later, she shows up. She walks over to the room, she steps into the doorway. She doesn't actually go into the room. Only about 10 feet away from the nurse's station. And she says, "Are you okay?" to the patient. And I couldn't hear what the gentleman actually had to say because he was inside the room. She said, "Well, did you hurt anything?" And then I hear her say, "Okay, you can get him back in the bed. I need a set of vital signs." And she walks away from that room, and she comes behind the desk, and she sits down and proceeds to do the paperwork on this incident. And right off the bat, I was rubbed the wrong way. Right off the bat. But I didn't say anything. I wanted to see how things went. So, as time progressed, the CNA gets this gentleman all squared away. She brings the vital signs back up and all of that. And this nurse proceeds to turn around and look at her and say, where were you? If you had been in his room, he wouldn't have fell on the floor. this particular nursing home does not have what's called one-on-one. If you have patients that are at high risk of falls, and if they're extremely confused, or if they have urinary tract infections, which can cause them to be very confused and forgetful, sometimes they'll put somebody in a chair in the room to watch them to make sure that they don't get up and injure themselves. Well, this facility doesn't do that because they don't have the staffing for it. This young lady, though, the CNA, says, well, I was 3 rooms down and I was doing rounds to make sure that everybody was clean and everybody was dry, which was true because I had watched her walk into that room. So, and I didn't say anything. I just wanted to see where this conversation went. Like I said, I was not going to get involved until I knew that I needed to, because the way this was starting off right from the jump was not okay. The way the nurse handled that entire situation was negligent. So this nurse proceeds to talk to this sweet little girl like she is nothing, and then she gets up and walks away. And this CNA is sitting here extremely upset, on the verge of tears, and I told her, I said, don't worry about it. I said, you were doing the appropriate thing. I said, you know you can't be 2 places at once. He had a bed alarm on. I was like, everything that could be done for him has been done for him to try to ensure his safety. I said, you can't be everywhere. Things are going to happen. That's just the way that it is. I said, but we're going to see. I said, let's just make it through the night. Everything will be okay. The end of shift comes around, and the last 30 minutes of my shift, I sit down, I take my narcotic log. You know, it's where we have to sign out all those illustrious high-powered drugs, because we have to count them. We have to account for everyone that we give. We have to say what day, what time. We have to sign them out saying that I'm the one that gave this and who we gave it to. We have to account for every single one. I sit down with my narcotic book. I go through it and I make sure that all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted. I go through and make sure that all my nurses' notes are where they need to be and that I didn't leave anything out. You know, all of that. You know, just double checking myself, because it really kind of sucks to get a phone call after you got home to say, hey, you missed this, can you come up here and take care of it? Because that's what happens. Or having a note left for you for the next time you show up to tell you, hey, you missed this, you really need to take care of it, and you need to make sure that you don't do it again. After that happens, you go out of your way to make sure it doesn't happen anymore. So I always do that while I'm waiting for my relief to show up. So I am sitting there basically kind of quality controlling myself, and I have these on with music playing very, very low, just enough that it kind of, I can hear a little bit of a beat in my ear. This nurse gets on the phone with the unit manager and proceeds to flat out bald-faced lie about what happened, what she did, and why the fall occurred. So I think that she was so comfortable with doing that, lying with me 3 feet away from her, because she saw these thinking that I could not hear her. Now these, if y'all are not familiar with bone conduction, they slide over the ear and they sit flat against the ear, the bone right here in front of the ear. And what this does is this sends the sound waves into the bones of the middle ear so that you can hear. And because there's nothing actually in the ear canal, you can hear everything going on around you as you're listening to whatever it is you're playing. One of the best inventions ever. Got to tell you, I love them. But I proceeded to listen to this whole conversation, and it rubbed me the wrong way, because this nurse blamed the CNA for this man being on the floor, saying that because she wasn't where she was supposed to be, that's why this man was on the floor. Now, working with this CNA as much as I have, and knowing how much she cares about these residents, it pissed me off. I mean, really pissed me off. Because when you find good people who actually care about what they're doing, you take care of them. You don't mistreat them. And that's exactly what this girl was doing. She was sacrificing this girl who is a good worker to save her own ass because she didn't do what she was supposed to do. So I finished up all of my stuff. This other nurse, her relief came in. She gave a report, and I heard her tell this other nurse the same set of lies. And she said, I'm going to be here a few more minutes because I've got to write a statement up on what happened, and I'm going to let them know that, you know, the CNA, because the CNA wasn't doing what she was supposed to, that's why this man fell. And I'm going to tell you, my ears were on fire. I was hot, mad, pissed at that point. It took everything in me not to turn around and confront her. So I decided to open up the incident report that this young lady filled out to see what had been written about what exactly, according to her, what happened. And this nurse, this sorry ass nurse, wrote on this incident report that she had done an assessment on this man and she found no injuries, having not walked past the door frame. The problem with that is what is called falsifying documentation. It is basically fraud. So I just kind of scroll through everything, and there's a note section in this particular set of programming that we use, that when you write this note, you write in this note section, and it automatically transposes it over into the nurse's note so that you don't have to write the same thing two different places. What it does is it automatically copies it over, and it generates a nurse's note. So, and she wrote the same thing there. Assessment completed, no injuries found. And I knew. Now we've got 2 rounds of falsified documentation. As soon as my relief came in and I passed everything off and handed over the keys and I packed up my bag, I walked out the front door and I called that unit manager. And I said, hey, I'm sorry to have to bother you. I said, but I really think that you need to know the actual details of what happened with that incident that you received that call on 30 minutes ago. And she said, what are you talking about? I said every single bit of what she told you was a fabrication. She said she lied to me. I said over and over and over again. I said I'm just gonna say this. I said her telling you that CNA was not where she was supposed to be is totally inaccurate. I said that young lady was 3 rooms down, providing care to 2 residents that live in that room. I said the other thing that she didn't tell you, that this nurse didn't tell you, that was absolutely fabricated, is the fact that she wasn't even on the floor. I said that she was on the other side of the building, chatting up all the little CNAs and the nurses over there that she's buddies with, who she likes working with. I said, so I wanted you to know that. I said I had to call over there to request her presence. I said, and I'm going to tell you right now, that incident report and that nurse's note that's written up on file, it's also fraudulent because she did not complete any assessment on him at all. I said she never went past the doorway. I had a pretty lengthy conversation with the unit manager about this. And she said, well, I thank you for telling me. She said, because honestly, she's like, if you hadn't said anything, I never would have known. She says, and it would have been the CNA's word against hers. I said, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, there are multiple reasons why I felt called to tell you. I said, because number one, this nurse is not in the right in any way, shape, or form in the situation. I said, she didn't do right by that CNA. I said, who is her eyes and ears down that hallway and who actually does a good job when she's on shift and she takes good care of these patients. I said, but she also didn't do right by the patient themselves. I said, because I heard her tell you that he this was the only time he's had an incident all night, and that's not true. I said he tried to climb out of the bed 2 hours before he fell. I said, and instead of getting him up and bringing him up to the nurse's station so that we could watch him, I said she talked him into going back to bed. I said, so there's that. I said, number two, I said, as an agency nurse, I said, it is people like this and situations like this that make people dislike agency nurses. It makes people believe that all agency nurses are lazy and don't give a shit. I said, and I take that personal. I said, because I love what I do. I said, and I like every single one of the residents here. I said, I know 95% of them. I said, I would never want anything bad to happen to them. I said, so yeah. I said, I feel slighted by her doing this, because by her doing that, it makes me look bad, even though we do not work for the same company. I said, and last but not least, I said, this CNA, I said, she is a young woman. She is brand new. I said, and she, I said, is fixing to try to sacrifice this young lady to protect herself. And for those of y'all that have been around long enough and have seen how I operate, and especially for those of you guys, if you're a Libra, or if you know a Libra, or if you've read anything about Libras, we are very much about justice, equality, fairness, and we do not do well when someone has been dealt with unjustly, ever. And ultimately, what this situation is for me, and this is how I feel about it, and I don't know if anybody will agree with it or not, but this nurse is ultimately bullying this CNA into taking the fall for something that she didn't do just because she's young and just because she can. And I have never been the type that has been able to put up with a bully, ever. And the unit manager said, I completely understand your reasons, and I do not fault you that at all, and I'm going to take care of this. She said, thank you very much for letting me know. And just as I'm getting off the phone, the CNA comes out of the building. She's coming off shift, and she had stayed for just a few minutes to write her statement about what happened. And she come out of the building on the verge of tears. I mean, holding them back. I mean, she was fixing to lose it. And I stopped her, and she was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I only just started working, and I don't know how I'm going to have to take care of my daughter, and this and that. And I mean, she was unloading. She was terrified. And I told her, I said, look, I said, I told you earlier not to worry about it, that it's going to be okay. I said, but because you need to hear it, I'm going to tell you, I have already taught, I said, what I was doing that has kept me out here, that I'm still here when you're leaving, is that I was on the phone with the unit manager. I said, and I let her know everything. I said, I gave her every detail. I said, and you are not gonna bear any repercussions for this, because you did not do anything wrong. And at that point, she burst out in tears, and she hugged me, and she said, thank you so much. She says, for trying to help me. She said, she says, I thought that I was going to lose my job. I thought that I was going to go to jail. She says, I don't know what I would have done if you had not been with me. Now, it is sad. It is a sad thing that is the way that she had to be left to feel. And in all sincerity, when there is conversation about people leaving bedside nursing and the fact that, nursing is full of mean girls and all of this and that and whatever, the fact is nurses do eat the young. That is well known, and I went through it. 25 years ago, I came into the hospital working med-surg with two women who were 30 plus years my age, and they saw fit when I was working with them to make my life as miserable as humanly possible. They would dump work on me when they could. That was not my responsibility. They would report me for everything that they could possibly find. They would report me for things that didn't even happen, saying that I said things that I didn't say, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was because of those behaviors and that interaction and that day-to-day misery that I was dealing with. After 6 months, when I saw the opening, I ditched and booked it to the ER. And at that point, thankfully, I was lucky enough to end up with an amazing RN who not only did not look down upon me, but she treated me as her equal. And we dealt with everything as a team. It didn't matter what came through those doors. We hit the ground running and we knocked it down. And because of that, 95% of our time together on shift, those nights were all good nights. And the reason I say 95%, because, full moons are full moons, and you can't control how people get crazy around full moons, It is what it is. And because of that RN, I am incredibly thankful for the fact that I actually had real guidance in the beginning of my career. And it's because of that 6 months of hellacious med-surg experience with 2 angry, bitter women that I never treat anybody as though they're beneath me. That just reinforced it before me, because my mom and dad always taught me no one is ever beneath you, ever. It doesn't matter if they mop the floor and clean the toilets, or if they're the president of the company. You treat everyone as your equal. And that time in med-surg reinforced that for me, because I never wanted anybody to ever be left to feel that way because of something that I did. And I am always, 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 always the type of person where when there's a new nurse, a new CNA, I am always there. And I tell them, if you ever need me, you tell me. Even if I'm not your assigned nurse, if you need my help, you tell me. Even if you just want me to talk, you just want me to listen to you talk, if you want to unload and you just need somebody to, I will do that for you. Because we need more people like this CNA in healthcare. Because she is one that this route for her is a calling. And you hear that said all the time: healthcare is a calling, healthcare is a calling, healthcare is a calling. And for a lot, and for the most part, that is true. It is a job. It's still a job, but it is calling for some people. But with the current state of things, there is a lot of this whole TikTok nurse aesthetic. Oh, look at my cute Stanley. Oh, look at my cute crock bag. Oh, look at my fake scrubs. That sort of thing. Watch me make $70 an hour as an agency nurse at a nursing home. Where they're recording TikToks at work and doing dances and stuff in their scrubs. That's the nurse aesthetic, and that's what a lot of incoming nurses is those being seduced by the nurse aesthetic and the prospect of money. Their heart is not in it, and we need people whose heart is in it to actually make sure that people get the kind of care that they need. And this young lady is one of those people, and I will forever defend people like her, because we need them. And as somebody who is probably at the middle ground of my life, knowing that this girl is in her 20s, she could very well be one of the people taking care of me when the time comes that I end up in a nursing home. And that's the kind of person that I want. Not somebody who's going, oh, look at my cute scrubs. Oh, look at my cute Stanley Cup thing. I don't give a shit about that. None of that matters. Healthcare is about humanity. And we need people who understand that and embrace it. And because of that, I absolutely would not have left that facility without making it clear that she did the right thing and defending her. And it's situations like this that make me angry, because honestly, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to be made to feel like they don't matter, you know? So I'm on my way home. I'm fixing to get some gas, because otherwise I'll be doing Fred Flintstone trying to kick my feet to get this truck to keep going. But I'm off for the next 2 days. I'm going to spend some time just relaxing, especially after running the last 3 nights. It was a fast-paced 3 nights, but it was all good. I hope you guys are well. Hope you have a wonderful Monday. Take care of you, and remember to hydrate, 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 because you are just a houseplant with more complex emotions, y'all.